Bir haftayı daha yasaklar, baskılar, gözaltılar ve davalarla ardımıza bırakıyoruz. Hak ihlalleri açısından her hafta bir öncekini aratmıyor maalesef. Biz yine ülkenin ifade özgürlüğü gündemini sizler için kayıt altına almaya çalıştık. İşte bizim gözümüzden haftanın öne çıkanlarından bir özet.
A lawsuit was filed against 8 people who were battered and detained during the Eskişehir Pride Parade in July on the charge of violating the law on meetings and demonstrations number 2911. The first hearing will be held on February 16th at the Eskişehir 4th Criminal Court of First Instance.
An investigation was launched against Turkish Medical Union President Şebnem Korur on the charge of insulting the state, Article 301 of the Turkish Criminal Code, for evaluating the images published regarding the alleged use of chemical weapons in the military operations carried out by the Turkish armed forces in the Iraqi Kurdistan region, and stating that it is obligatory for independent committees to conduct an investigation in the region according to international conventions.
An investigation has been launched against Etkin News Agency editor Pınar Gayip for her post about the mine massacre that killed 41 workers in Bartın. Gayip wrote on social media, "Many workers were stranded. That's why they brought the censorship law, to consolidate their power over the graves of the workers. If no one knows about it, no one is held to account. The journalist is charged with public incitement to hatred and hostility or denigration."
Investigations were opened regarding the posts about the explosion in a coal mine in the Amasra district of Bartın. The General Director of Security claimed that social media posts were made with provocative content that openly incited the people to hatred, resentment, and enmity, announcing the legal proceedings were initiated against 12 people.
The police attacked the press statement organised by professional unions and chambers in front of the Miners' Monument in Ankara regarding the mining disaster in Bartın. At least 10 people were detained.
The press statement, organized by the People's Democratic Party's Istanbul provincial organization, regarding the allegations that the Turkish armed forces used chemical weapons in the operations in the Iraqi Kurdistan region, was not allowed. The police took the Şirinevler Square under blockade, and the statement was to be made there, and detained nearly 40 people, including People Democratic Party Istanbul provincial co-chair Ferhat Encü.
A lawsuit was filed against the Malatya provincial chairman and executives of the Victory Party at the Malatya 7th Criminal Court of First Instance on the charge of insulting Interior Minister Süleyman Soylu because of the banner that stated "Domestic and National Escobar," which was hung on the party building.
The modern government banned the exhibition "Forgetting the Past is a Gilded Lie," curated by Deniz Özgültekin, one day before its opening, on the grounds of its content and the event being held at St. George Armenian Church.
Governorates in Hakkari, Muş, Bingöl, Gaziantep, Urfa, Adıyaman, Şırnak, Diyarbakır, and Mersin declared protest bans. With the prohibitions brought on the grounds of public order and security, protests and demonstrations were banned for 15 days in Hakkari, Muş, and Bingöl, for 10 days in Adıyaman, 7 days in Antep, 3 days in Urfa, 2 days in Şırnak, and for 1 day in Diyarbakır and Mersin. On the other hand, the use of this constitutionally protected right was made subject to permission by the civil administration for 15 days in Bitlis and 4 days in Tunceli.
The Radio and Television Supreme Court penalized Tele1 with a 3-day broadcast suspension due to the criticism of the Turkish Workers' Party parliament member Sera Kadıgil about the Directorate of Religious Affairs. The Radio and Television Supreme Court claimed that the channel's broadcasts were discriminatory in terms of language, religion, and race because of Kadıgil's expressions. Kadıgil had stated, "Can there be such a thing as Director of Religious Affairs? There are believers and non-believers. There are Alevis, Sunnis, Christians, Jews. We collect taxes from all of these. There is an institution called the Directorate of Religious Affairs only to make propaganda of a certain sect, and we pay billions to this institution. We cut it from education, we cut it from health, we give it to the religious vocational schools." Why? So that the guys in the administration can ride Mercedes cars worth millions. The Religious Affairs is not a religious institution in its current form. It's a political Islamist tool and must be shut down. a broadcast suspension was imposed against the channel for 3 days, and thus, in case the channel receives a similar penalty until February 2023, it might be able to be shut down.
Upon the application of Yeni Şafak Daily, the Istanbul Bakırköy 4th Criminal Judicature of Peace imposed an access block on the news that included the statements made by the People's Democratic Party Group Deputy Chairman Saruhan Oluç at the press conference held in the Assembly on February 8th. Pointing to the price hikes and the economic crisis in a censored statement, Oluç stated that the actions on this issue are legitimate and that they support it. Replying to the allegations of pro-government press organizations that the People's Democratic Party is making a provocation, Oluç had stated the actual provocateurs are Yeni Şafak and Sabah Daily. Their understanding of publication is what causes the provocation.
The Istanbul Bakırköy 4th Criminal Judicature of Peace imposed an access block against the news published in Cumhuriyet Daily with the headline, "Double Tender Worth 176 million to Pro-Government Albayrak Holding," regarding two tenders which pro-government Albayrak Holding received from municipalities of Justice and Development Party with 5 days in between.
The Kilis Criminal Judicature of Peace imposed an access block against the article written by Cumhuriyet Daily columnist Barış Pehlivan, which disclosed that the Justice and Development Party Gaziantep Central Şehit Kamil District Chairman and lawyer Hüseyin Çolak, who shot the person he was arguing in traffic with his gun, was also a public prosecutor in Kilis, as well as against the related news on the subject on the grounds of violation of personal rights.
US-based organization Freedom House has released the Freedom on the Internet 2022 report, which evaluates internet freedom around the world. The report stated that the global Internet Freedom Index has been declining continuously for 12 years, and Turkey lost 2 more points in the freedom score compared with the previous year, declining to 32 points out of 100. Turkey took place in the category of countries where the internet is not free once again this year.
Freedom of Expression Association shared with the public its annual report, which compiles statistical data on websites that are blocked, news, social media accounts, and their contents. According to the Engelli Web 2021 report, as of the end of 2021, 574,798 websites, more than 150,000 URLs, 8,350 Twitter accounts, 55,500 tweets, 13,500 YouTube videos, 9,500 Facebook content, and 9,000 Instagram content from Turkey are blocked. The number of websites blocked in a year exceeded 100,000 in 2021. 5,436 news stories were blocked from access, 4,445 news were removed from the air and censored, with a total of 839 different decisions made by 251 different criminal judicatures of peace in a year. While emphasizing that the effect of the legal changes made in 2020 began to be seen in 2021, the report stated, "As we approach the 16th year that we started after the enactment of the Law No. 5651, the state's complex internet censorship mechanism continues to operate and develop more vigorously and actively than ever before." According to the association, the dominant complainants of 2021 were high-ranking public authorities whose reputation, honor and dignity were hurt. Many personalities, from the president and his family to ministers, from parliamentarians to trustees, from bureaucrats to business people, rushed to the judicatures of peace, freedom of expression, press freedom, and the jurisprudence of the Constitutional Court and the European Court of Human Rights were disregarded, and the judicatures of peace decided that the personal rights of all of them, without exception, were violated.
Haftanın adliye mesaisi de her zaman olduğu gibi yoğundu. İşte takip ettiğimiz ifade özgürlüğü davalarında yaşanan gelişmelerden seçtiklerimiz.
The trial of Evrensel Daily columnist Ender İmrek, who was charged with insulting the president for his column, titled "Turkey is Burning, the Palace is Watching," which he wrote about the wildfires that took place one after the other in 2021, started at the Istanbul Bakırköy 44th Criminal Court of First Instance. The second hearing of the case will be held on January 10th.
IMC TV program coordinator and presenter of Gündem Müzakere program Ayşegül Doğan was sentenced to 6 years and 10 months in prison on the charge of terrorist organization membership in the lawsuit filed against her for her meetings with the Democratic Security Congress executives as a part of her journalism activities, interviews, and events she participated in. Following the reversal decree of the appeal court, Doğan's retrial began again at the Diyarbakır 9th Assize Court. The next hearing will be held on January 25.
The trial of former Diyarbakır Bar Association President Cihan Aydın and 10 members of the Board of Directors started at Diyarbakır 11th Assize Court on the charge of insulting the state in accordance with Article 301 of the Turkish Criminal Code, based on the statement they made on the anniversary of the Armenian genocide on April 24, 2019. The lawyers were acquitted in the first hearing. 5 investigations and 3 lawsuits were filed against 3 Bar Association presidents and 28 board members due to the April 24 statements against Bar Association executives. Previously, the trial of Bar Association executives who served in the 2017 and 2018 period resulted in acquittal.
Samsun Etik News website's editor-in-chief and journalist Berat Gonca, who revealed the relationship between the former chairman of the Samsun Justice Commission, Kemal Alver, and criminal organization leader Galip Öztürk, was sentenced to a judicial fine of 8,320 lira in the lawsuit filed at the Samsun 5th Criminal Court of First Instance by Alver, who dismissed by the Board of Judges and Prosecutors and started working at Öztürk's company.
The lawsuit filed against 14 students and 3 rights advocates from the Kocaeli Student Solidarity was concluded with acquittal at the Kocaeli 5th Criminal Court of First Instance. The defendants were charged with violating the law on meetings and demonstrations number 2911 and resisting to prevent duty on the grounds of the press statement made in Kocaeli against the detainment of students protesting the trustee rector appointed to Boğaziçi University.
The trial of 45 students who were detained as a result of the police intervention in the tent built on the campus on October 22, 2021, with the scope of the protests against the trustee rector at Boğaziçi University, continued at the Istanbul 27th Criminal Court of First Instance on the charge of violating the law on meetings and demonstrations. The next hearing will be held on March 31.
The trial of former president of Van Hakkari Medical Chamber Hüseyin Yaviç and Human Rights Foundation of Turkey Van representative Sevim Çiçek, who were detained in the press statement they made about the doctor who lost his life in a traffic accident on his way home after a 36-hour shift, continued at the Van 4th Criminal Court of First Instance on the charge of violating the law on meetings and demonstrations number 2911. The next hearing will be held on January 26.
Democratic Society Congress co-chair and former People's Democratic Party parliament member Leyla Güven, who was charged with making propaganda for a terrorist organization due to the speeches she made at the protests and events she attended, was sentenced to 11 years and 7 months in prison in the lawsuit filed against her at Diyarbakır 9th Assize Court.
The trial of journalist Metin Cihan, who was charged with insulting President Erdogan's son-in-law Berat Albayrak through a social media post on April 30, 2020, continued at the Istanbul 36th Criminal Court of First Instance. Another case file against Cihan, again due to a tweet he posted regarding Albayrak, will be combined with the current file. The next hearing will be held on January 31st.
Cihan's trial due to other social media posts in which he disclosed documents showing various corruptions involving the Turkish Youth Foundation with President Erdogan's son, Bilal Erdogan, taking place as one of the founders of the foundation, continued at the Istanbul 22nd Criminal Court of First Instance on the charge of unlawfully seizing and disseminating personal data. The next hearing will be held on December 14.
The latest hearing of the lawsuit filed against 24 people who were detained in the protest demonstration held by the community houses on October 24, 2020 within the campaign "We Want to Work Safely, to Live Humanely" was held at the Ankara 60th Criminal Court of First Instance on the charge of violating the law on meetings and demonstrations number 2911. The trial of the community houses members will continue on January 9th.
The lawsuit filed against journalists Görkem Kınacı, Uğur Şahin and Uğur Koç on charge of insult and slander following the complaint of Constitutional Court member İrfan Fidan on the grounds of their news coverage regarding the allegations about a high-ranking member of the judiciary brought to the agenda by Turkish Workers' Party parliament member Ahmet Şık was concluded with acquittal at the Istanbul Beykoz 6th Criminal Court of First Instance.
The latest hearing of the lawsuit filed against Human Rights Association Ankara co-chair Fatih Kanat was held at the Ankara 25th Assize Court on the charge of making propaganda for a terrorist organization on the grounds of the press statements made by the association. The prosecutor's office presented an opinion on the merits and requested for Kanat to be penalized. The hearing was adjourned to December 8th.
The third hearing of the lawsuit filed against Turkish Medical Union President Şebnem Korur Fincancı, Reporters Without Borders representative Erol Önderoğlu, and writer Ahmet Nesin, who were previously tried and acquitted for participating in the Substitute Editing-in-Chief campaign, launched in solidarity with previously shut down Özgür Gündem Daily, was held at Istanbul 13th Assize Court within their retrial after the appeal court's reversal decree. The hearing was adjourned to February 1.
Musician Shilan Dora, who took the stage at the March 8th Women's Day rally in Van, was convicted for the song Sejinen Azat she sang. The Van Second Assize Court sentenced the musician to 1 year and 3 months in prison for making propaganda for a terrorist organization, deferring the announcement of the verdict.
Bir Gün Daily's policy editor Mehmet Emin Kurnaz was sentenced to 11 months and 20 days of imprisonment, each on charge of insulting the president and insulting public official, on the grounds of the Sunday supplement of the newspaper, which was published on May 25, 2021, with the headline "The Rule of Gangs." The Istanbul Second Criminal Court of First Instance deferred the announcement of the verdict.
The retrial of Republican People's Party Istanbul Provincial Chair Canan Kaftancıoğlu, who was sentenced to 9 years, 8 months and 20 days in prison for her social media posts, started at the 37th Assize Court in Istanbul, following the Supreme Court's reversal decree. The Supreme Court of Appeals approved a total prison sentence of 4 years and 11 months for Kaftancıoğlu on 3 of the 5 charges and decided on a political ban against her. Deciding to abide by the Supreme Court's annulment decision, the court decided that the file be sent to the prosecutor's office for an opinion to be prepared on the merits. The hearing was adjourned to February 7th.
The first hearing of the lawsuit filed against journalist Sezgin Kartal was held at the Istanbul 24th Criminal Court of First Instance on charges of insulting with an audio, written or video message following Fuat Uğur's complaint. Kartal is charged due to the social media post in which he criticized Uğur's article published in Türkiye Daily on June 19, 2021. The next hearing will be held on November 29.
The trial of singer Gülşen started at the Istanbul 11th Criminal Court of First Instance after she was arrested on charges of inciting the public to hatred and enmity by being targeted because of her statements against religious vocational high school students while joking with her friend on stage during a concert, and then was released on the condition of house arrest. The court denied the request for her immediate acquittal, lifted the judicial measure in the form of obligation to sign, and decided for the travel ban against her to remain, adjourning the hearing to December 21st.
Bizden bu haftalık da bu kadar. Programa sığdıramadığımız haftanın diğer ifade özgürlüğü haberleri ise her zaman olduğu gibi internet sitemizde ve haftalık bültenimizde. Yeniden buluşuncaya değin, hoşça kalın.